Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter for boxing-related tweets, or you can subscribe to the channel and click that notifications button and get a notification whenever a new video is uploaded. Let's talk boxing. Fernando Vargas Jr. has put out a Instagram tweet that says, working alongside the former IBF world champion Charles Martin, stay tuned. His next fight is against Deontay Wilder. A few people have been quite critical of this. Well, Charles Martin's a bum, he's this, he's that. The truth is, Charles Martin's really not that bad. He's not an elite level heavyweight, but he's okay. He's had 28 wins, 25 of them have come by knockout. He's only lost to world level guys. Obviously, Anthony Joshua, he lost his world title to him, and because there was so much bravado and brash talk and talking about, saying various things, bigging himself up, and then got knocked out the way he got knocked out so early in the fight, it made people feel like he was completely discredited, right? So a lot of people hold that against him. But listen, the reality is that if you look at the other defeat he had is Adam Koznowski, who was 17-0 at the time. A lot of people were riding high on him in the United States. People were talking very highly of him, feeling that he could be, the next, guy to really break into that top group of fighters, heavy-handed, accurate. He had a lot of fans, Koznowski. And he was shocked more recently against Robert Helenius. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people feel that, he was in control, and a lot of people feel that was just a bit of a fluke. So really, Charles Martin isn't really, he's had some decent wins. He's beaten Gerald Washington, he's beaten Glasgow in the past. So this isn't a guy who's a complete bum. And you'd have to understand, listen, Deontay Wilder's come off of a very traumatic experience, a very brutal defeat that would have been traumatizing, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. He didn't just get beaten up against Tyson Fury physically, but you have to understand the emotional and psychological impact of a guy who's been at the top of the sport, knocking everybody out for so long, and then for something like that to happen to him. Listen, I hate the term conspiracy theory because, for me, conspiracy, what is a conspiracy? All right, a conspiracy is a group of people in positions of power who are, in fact, they don't even have to be in positions of power, but there are groups of people who are conspiring, who are planning to do something, but hide their actions, to do something for their own interests, but to hide their actions. You know what another word is for conspiracy, therefore? Corruption. That's all it is. So often when people are discussing something that goes against the public narrative, they'll instantly be accused of being conspiracy theorists. This is usually done by people who are incapable of looking at evidence, and they're incapable of critically thinking. So as a result, they just dismiss with, it's a conspiracy theory, right? And they instantly dismiss. So I hate that phrase. I don't want to use the phrase Deontay Wilder came out of conspiracy theories. What Deontay Wilder did was come up with accusations. Now, I observed the evidence. I observed the things that they were saying. There were Deontay Wilder fans that put out, the most recent video I remember was that his trainer, Jay Deese, drugged him with heroin. They found a bag of heroin. They saw a bag of heroin that he dropped during the fight. Mark Breland was accused of spiking his drink, something that Deontay Wilder has accused him of himself. He's implied it, I believe. If not, Deontay Wilder certainly accused him of corruption, and he sacked the guy. We've seen Wilder talk about the heavy suit and how it sapped the energy of his legs during the ring walk. We've seen them talk about the first fight, that Tyson Fury's glove was on loose, and that the knuckles were halfway out of the glove, so that when he'd throw hooks, he's hitting with the inner part of the hand, which means this bony part, which obviously could break your fingers. You do not want to be hitting a guy like that. But that's what the accusation was, and that when it was a hook, because, the glove, say that's the end of the glove, rather than being in the glove, the fist was sort of a bit out. And so the knuckle would connect with a part where there wasn't much padding. All these different things, when you actually analyse it and look at the evidence, I personally cannot see the evidence for that. So mentally and emotionally, he's not in a great place because he's gone through a traumatic experience. He can't accept, look, I lost, I need to come back to the drawing board. Additionally to that, listen, Deontay Wilder's got a great chance against any fighter in history. And I mean that. In history, on any given night, he's got a chance. Tyson Fury included in the third fight. All it takes is for him to land that right hand on a sweet spot. That's all it takes. You've got to land in the right place. If he lands that on any human being, flush, that human being's in serious trouble. So he's always going to be a dangerous man. However, in that second Fury fight, if you go back and watch the first two rounds, you'll see that he landed that right hand flush on 3 separate occasions. He didn't catch Fury directly on the chin or, you know, in an area that's going to take him out completely. But did catch him on the side of the head. His face was red. He caught him. He caught him 3 times. 3 times, I believe it was. And he didn't take him out. Now, that hasn't happened to Deontay Wilder for years. So even that plays a role psychologically on his mind. What's he thinking? You know, is this a guy that can take my power? Am I not hitting as hard as I used to hit? You know, I'm not a young man anymore. Am I losing that power? These are going to be questions that in the privacy of his own home, when no one else is around, no cheerleaders, no fanboys, he's there alone, analysing his life. He's going to ask himself these questions. So he needs to come back. And Charles Martin, for me, is not a bad fight. I know a lot of people are hating on it. Personally, if it's true and there is truth to this, I think it's a fair fight. In fact, if I was a manager of his, I'd want him to have 2 quick turnaround fights, okay, quick time fights, whereby there's no, there's no, I don't want to use the word there's no real threats, it's the heavyweight division, but fights that you'd expect him to win. You expect him to beat Charles Martin. Then I would like him in there with a guy who's durable, but again, not really that much of a threat to him. Someone like a Robert Helenius, okay? So in theory, he's coming off of a win against Adam Koznowski. That's a decent fight. You know, Robert Helenius, so why not? Why not? Then after that, I'd throw him in with the big boys. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? Do you think he should be catapulting himself straight back into the big time? Should he have really pushed for that third Fury fight? I think that would have been a terrible decision to make. Do you think he should go after another top-level fighter that isn't called Fury? Should he go after Dillian White if he beats Povetkin, or maybe go after Povetkin if he beats White? Whoever it might be, do you reckon he should target that route? Because then if he can win the interim WBC title, he's back into a position again. Does he go for another fighter who might not have a belt but is a big name? How do you expect him to approach it? What would you want him to see? What fighter would you want him in with next? And can he come back from the defeat that he suffered against Tyson Fury? Thanks for watching. I'm going to bring some more videos tonight, so please check them all out. God bless.